When we first started, my biggest fear, when things didn't go the way I wanted them to, I didn't know how to handle it. It's a house of cards. You know, you're building yourself into something that maybe you're not in those early days. And I started so young that when we would do a show and people were booing or throwing stuff at us or whatever, like, I didn't know how to handle that, because it's a tenuous at best situation when you're trying to like put yourself in the position of somebody that you're not. We played a show in Newcastle in 2010, and it was our first UK headline tour. I was so much of the mindset that I was gonna have to defend us against people that hated us, that I was spent most of the show just prowling around sort of looking for a problem. And I remember Jonathan, our tour manager, has been, you know, in my life since I was a teenager and best man at my wedding. He's here today, probably on the other side of that door somewhere. He was laughing, and I went over, oh, what are you laughing about? And he was laughing and saying, you know, they're all happy that you're here. Like, you know, this is not, we've gotten past that point. So from that point forward, it became about being the most comfortable version of myself on stage. You know, I don't ever go to bed in a hotel room without checking underneath the bed, checking everything, convinced that there's something that's going on. I have to have all the lights on. I have to have a certain show on TV. All of my histrionics and all the things, the rituals that I do, the way I used to deal with them was by drinking. Now that I've been sober for all these years, I just find ways to either laugh about them or make them work. I've always viewed whatever it is that I am, or whatever I have, or whatever you want to say, as a superpower that I didn't know how to use as a kid. There is no one more specific than me. There's no one more driven or hyper-fixated than me. When I think of something that I want to do, I deliver it in every possible way that I can, and I will obsess over it until it's exactly what it needs to be. I mean, all of it is therapeutic. All of this, the dressing up in crazy clothes and making something of yourself that didn't exist before, all of this was a means for me to create something outside of the scared kid that I was. The thing you have to really be able to find is, even if you're someone with a lot of social anxiety, the opportunity to be able to share a moment with people is what's most important. So for me, I can say honestly that when people come up to me and say that my lyrics have inspired them, or that the music that we make has been impactful positively in their life, I know that it's because it's going through the prism of what it means to them. The best connection that you have with somebody is when you have common ground, right? And the common ground we have is something I have experienced is something that they have experienced in some capacity. So my responsibility is to continue to do that, to give the best performances I can on stage, to give them that moment of hopefully escapism, removal from the drudgery of day-to-day life, the ability to rise above the shit that you're dealing with and just have fun. And then on a lyrical level and a musical level, to deliver something that hopefully inspires them, makes them think, but at the end of the day that they want to listen to. And being able to play a song and see it connect with somebody, that has really grown over the years, and it's something I feel really consistently at this point. When I was a kid, I was terrified of anything that was about like death or dark things. Now, I never had an imagination that led me to think that I was going to get killed by any of those things. It was more so just that the idea of something being scary was in fact scary. The fear of that to someone maybe wouldn't understand that as a kid, I was really certain that Len Carew was like a demonic force. And in those days, I couldn't look him up on the internet to see what it looked like. I couldn't see the show. You know, I grew up in Ohio. There weren't touring productions of it. This is a show from the 70s that wasn't, at the time, experiencing any sort of revival. So all I had was the back of this CD, and the picture is Len Carew with his arm up with the switchblade up. Angela Lansbury's got the rolling pin up, and he's got blood on his shirt. And then the cover is a drawing rendition of the two of them, and in blood it says Sweeney Todd. And I would look at that CD every single day for some amount of time until I was too scared, and then I would run away from it. And I did this forever. And then over time, I got more and more interested in what was actually on the CD. And my mom would watch these Barbra Streisand VHS tapes where Barbra Streisand would sing in a nightclub for all these show tunes. And Nothing's Gonna Harm You, which is a song that is from Sweeney Todd, it was one of those songs. And I didn't realize that this really pretty sort of ballad-esque song about how I'm gonna keep you protected or whatever was from this show about this terrible demon that was gonna kill me. So I would watch these with my mom and as a real little kid. And so the connection point there was, well, if that's on there, then all of it can't be so scary. So then I started sneaking listens to the CD. And the problem is, it is actually scary. The way that the music is written, particularly the first song, The Ballad of Sweeney Todd, it is disconcerting. So much so that it's our intro to our shows on this tour. But I also loved it. And then that really was the thing that started the whole trajectory for me of, my dad liked Kiss, so I had some familiarity with Gene Simmons, and I loved Batman. So I loved darker stuff, but leaning more heavily into darker stuff, it really started with Sweeney Todd, and then it was Phantom of the Opera, and then it was The Misfits, and then it was on and on and on. I have the Len Carew from the cover tattooed on my arm. I've had that for a long time. I have the blade itself, the My Friends blade from that song, My Friends, tattooed. And so I just thought, I've always wanted to find a way to bring my love of that and how important in terms of a formative perspective that musical was for me into this world of this band.
You know, the new song Bleeders, I basically this whole year, we've had a lot of downtime earlier in the year, so I've just been at home just writing whatever's been coming out. You know, I have my own studio at home, so I've just been recording and just putting down whatever ideas and really kind of trying to venture into something a little bit different than what is a typical Black Veil song musically. Just experimenting with different riffing styles and bringing back some more breakdown kind of stuff. I wanted to create something where it's like dropping bombs and there's an explosion and just have some like really heavy music playing like as that thing is happening. So that's really where this song actually started from. I just made this like super heavy breakdown thing. It was like 15 seconds long. And I was working on a bunch of other music and I went back and listened to that and I'm like, this should be something. So that's really like, it's funny that right when the breakdown kicks in, like that's what this song started as. I originally was creating like, you know, just a typical like heavy song and I felt like it wasn't, like the vibe wasn't right. So I just went a complete opposite direction and like made this melody loop and added like, wanted to create this like creepy ambient, like cinematic dark vibe to it. And I think it just really made it super cool. Something that just doesn't sound like something we would typically do.
Ultimately, the idea was, how do we write a song based on this bed of music? How do we write around this and make it feel like a Black Veil Bride song? Not a Black Veil Bride's parody song, in that it feels like an evolution of the band musically, and also something that evokes this Sweeney Todd character. And then lyrically, how do I attack that? So it took a while to get to that point and figure out exactly what the narrative is, because I didn't want the song to be about Sweeney Todd. I wanted it to be able to be something that is directly connected to me. And from a lyrical perspective, one of the things that has been one of the strongest driving factors that I have in my career and life is revenge. Everything has been about showing people that they were wrong. I have the word revenge tattooed on my back, on my shoulder, because it is the monkey on my back that I carry around. It is very hard to not exist with the I'll fucking show you attitude. Since I was a little kid, it's always been that way because I was never picked first. You know, this band was never picked first. We were never the darlings of anything. We were primarily made fun of or seen as less than. I have always viewed everything I do under the prism of, I will fucking show you. And that is what Sweeney Todd's story is. It's revenge. I don't intend on murdering anyone. I just want to be able to do the things I want to do. And in that way, I'm getting my revenge and I'm showing these people that didn't believe in me. But the truth of the matter is that no matter how much vengeance you have in your heart or how much you want to get back at these perceived individuals that wronged you, you cannot separate yourself from humanity. You cannot make yourself infallible or pretend that you don't have things that you were wrong about or things that you didn't believe in or people that you dismissed. Everyone does that. The balance and the juxtaposition lyrically is everybody is a person. Everybody has these feelings of inadequacy. Everybody wants to get revenge on somebody else, and aren't we lucky that that's the case? Aren't we lucky that we're all motivated to exist, to live, to be able to make something, either substantial or not? To just do stuff every day is in itself a victory, to just stay alive. The song is a little bit about both of those things. It's both the fact that I know that we're all human and we all bleed, so to speak. And I also, still, there's like 10 or 15 people that I hate in my mind, you know? So like, dealing with that.